Hello, the kittens. So let's see how the weekend is going to look like. Look at it. We have the victim. We have King of Swords, or also they call him Prince of the Chariots of the Winds. How classy. And we have Six of Pentacles over here. So let's start right in. So victim is, I'm going to tell you a story. All of these karma cards, chakra cards, whatever they're called, have the stories attached to them, right? So this one is about the acorn. So the acorn is actually asked to star in a play, and he was promised like a really really important role, but in the end, most of kind of like the work that he has done acting has been ending up on a basically cutting floor, right? So he doesn't even speak in a movie. So it is a big disappointment, right? And he actually feels betrayed because Dragon is the one who has given him and promised that part, right? So he does feel kind of like let down and betrayed, but he is not resentful. Kind of like because being in that play, it kind of like landed him a job, something else. I think that he got a job somewhere else, and then he insists, you know what, I'm just fine. But you can kind of like feel denial. We have been all there, right? We have been all kind of like gritting our teeth and bearing it, and I'm just fine. And yet you're feeling, ah, God damn, right? Like you kind of like have this feeling inside. So I really think, especially because it's followed with the King of Swords, and King of Swords is saying, you know what, this is a little bit of injustice, but because of that, you're going to get it somewhere else. And he is actually bringing this justice and putting everything in balance. And this is like what Six of Pentacles does. So something is going to be that is not that's going to rub you wrong way, without doubt, right? If you manage not to create a bigger hole in all of that, this is not about standing up for yourself. This is about simply kind of like realization that, you know what, nothing is promised to me. I'm not entitled to anything, and I should be happy no matter where I am. And this is kind of like literally paradigm shift that can happen. So this kind of like indicates that maybe being in denial may be what is holding you back. So in order to move forward, you must make a really honest assessment. What is really uh, ticking me off, what is pushing my buttons, and just see if you are basically convincing yourself otherwise, simply to keep status quo and simply not to push yourself in, let's say, some situation that then you might have to react or act, right? So you really need to figure out, because this is like coming through on the gate of a breakthrough. You have King of Swords. He's a very, very important guy, especially when it comes to intellectual power. So he's almost a symbol of that power and authority, right? And he also has the courage. You know, like how sometimes you see a room full of people and then you have this like group talk. I I just like rewatched that movie 12 Angry Men, 1997 version, and you can kind of like see how one person who stands up, and it's really not easy to be against the group because you're feeling like the eyeballs burning on you, you're feeling that you're being questioned, like I mean ridiculed, like everybody's like bothered. But if you really have your own convictions, like you can actually move forward. So from being blocked and maybe from blaming others, maybe having that past resentment, deluding ourselves, we actually now have potential for releasing that and for greatness. So it's really kind of like understanding that this what happened to us is something that is given to us in order to grow. So if we kind of like feel slighted, then this King of Swords comes forward and he represents judgment and command and rulership, right? He sometimes may be stern. He's on the side of a judge, lawyer, or even military commander. So he's keeping his emotions, right, in check. And so therefore the King of Swords asks you to remain detached. Very important. Like, please time out this weekend, remain detached. You also need to use your intellect to prove your like merit and then succeed. It's going to be really important combined with your education, and you will probably solve problems, and you're going to use it by using history, using rules, laws, and also diplomacy. He's really, really good this way. And if you feel that you messed up, this is a time to fess up. This is the time to really talk about it. Six of Pentacles always talks about that equilibrium. It's a give and take card, and it's in a perfect thing. So in order for you to understand that you want to restart the energy, right? So if you really look how you kind of like the fire, you first light the match, and you light the match by kind of like moving it across that little whatever it is, like a part that creates that spark. So you put that energy like in, and then the energy kind of like really explodes as a chemical reaction. So like it's that give and take. You gave in and you got something out of it. So that's that kind of like balance where like this Six of Pentacles is really talking about that. And it also saying about that you really need to measure things. Like it has to be really fair. And this is also doubled with King of Swords, which is also important card in tarot, right? So if I know it's a weekend, but maybe you'll be looking the internet for a professional advisor, such as like a solicitor or attorney or a financial advisor or maybe tax consultant, and you're going to be looking for somebody who has a solid reputation and really, really vast amount of knowledge in his or her particular field. General readings can be male or female, right? Because you really need to organize something, right? Because there's like somebody who is really priding himself on his or her expertise, and possibly he costs lots of money. But you're going to realize that sometimes paying a lots of money is actually saving you money in the long run, because you most likely win the case, you get the shortcut of something. So that's kind of like all of that stuff that you'll be thinking through, because there's going to be some talk or getting legal or financial advice, right? So they're going to be circumstance or expert advice. It can also be a psychologist. It can also be somebody who can help you see clearly. Clearly is the key over here. So not like Few Good Men to kind of like quote, do you hear me? Can you understand me? It was like kind of like crystal vision kind of a thing. So it's going to be really interesting. If you are not spreading those kind of like wings, you're preparing yourself for Monday over here, and it's going to be something really, really important. So I love you, and hopefully you're going to have a beautiful weekend, and I'll talk to you next week. All the best.